say that information is the currency of the 21st century, that information has value. Now, as we look at the real estate industry, we see that the real estate industry is really changing. And we're experiencing today the manifestation of the last 25 years of change in the real estate industry. We have rapid technological innovation. We have human engagement in a very big way, online and growing. We have generational differences with the baby boomers and the Gen Xers and the Gen Ys and the millennials, and it goes on. We have new concepts of ownership, and we'll talk about those new concepts of ownership and using real property. And homes are now being recognized as a viable asset class. So we have investors chasing after single-family homes and condos. And we're in the age of big data with massive computing power to process information like we've never processed it before. And so now, because of these items, what we're now seeing, or at least it's appearing to us, is we're seeing rapid change in the real estate industry. Now, for all intents and purposes, we're talking about just 25 years. The technology has been in the real estate industry in a big way only for 25 years. 25 years ago, for most people, there was no internet. The World Wide Web really wasn't around, and the browser hadn't been commercialized. And this thing, which is now ubiquitous, it's everywhere. This is an amazing invention, and it brings all of us closer and closer together, and it wasn't around about 13 years ago. So lots of change taking place. And another thing to keep in mind is that there isn't science fiction anymore. Remember science fiction? Like a wristwatch you could talk into, or going to the moon, or going to another planet? There is no science fiction. Your wildest dream isn't wild enough. And I'm very fond of that statement, because people have wild dreams, but what I got to tell you is your wildest dream isn't wild enough. And if we go back 25 years, we can see that the things that have happened in the last 25 years, we didn't dream about them 25 years ago. We knew change was coming, but we had no idea this thing was coming. And so your wildest dream is not wild enough. And when people talk to us about change in the real estate industry today, and they talk about the acceleration of change and the fact that the game's almost over, we're here to tell you that we're not even close to the end game yet. And so when you hear the doom and gloom and the fact that it's going to change, and it's going to change overnight, and it's an avalanche, and we hear that from all of our friends out there, from the Inmans of the world and the risk medias of the world and the leading RE, and they're all telling us this thing's coming down. It's the end if you're in real estate. And we're here to tell you this is not the end. Not yet. So some things never change in the real estate industry. And I throw this at you because I want you to know that some things just hang around forever. Back in 1993, the year I was president of the San Diego Association of Realtors, we were talking about board of choice. We were talking about public access to MLS, agency liabilities, independent contractor versus employees, losing the MLS to outside entities, and loss of MLS income for associations. We're talking about buyer brokerage and buyer broker compensation and alternative sources of revenue and increasing professionalism, and an association staff-driven versus volunteer-driven, and the dynamics of changing leadership in association management. And then, of course, dealing with this mentality of I want it all, I want it now, and I want it for nothing. And that's always been an issue in the real estate industry, dealing with people who want it all, want it now, and want it for nothing. And that syndrome has grown greatly in the last couple of years because of this thing. I can get anything I want almost immediately, and it's amazing. I love Amazon Prime. Want it all, want it now, want it for nothing. So change. Change is taking place. It's dramatic. And what we need to know in real estate is that the real estate industry has always been in a state of flux. And so when people hit us today with the word change and the fact that the real estate industry is changing and that you have to get used to the change, know this, it's always changing, it's always been changing, it's always in a state of flux, and it's going to continue to change moving forward. Now, the other day I was reading a magazine that I subscribe to. I've actually subscribed to this magazine for about 40 years.